Do you know what the name of your book is going to be?
It's called 1001 Reasons Why Journey is the best game ever and Marcus can suck it.
Dude, that would be amazing. Hey, I'm Marcus.
And I'm Nick.
We are Working Class Nerds.
Cue the intro. That's right, we are Working Class Nerds, the podcast that gives you no information about your favorite information.
Today is Thursday, October 13th, 2022, and you can find this 171 Redacted podcast on Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and anywhere you can find a podcast in the galaxy far, far away. And now you can find every single Working Class Nerds episode on the YouTubes. And in addition to the YouTubes, we're now branching out to another platform. It's called Rumble. So go to rumble.com, search Working Class Nerds, click the follow button, and give us a listen there. And most of all, you can watch me terribly fail at video games Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays at twitch.tv/MarcusB814.
And you can watch me play video games every single Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/NickVern51.
And you can find us on the social media. I am at MarcusB814.
And I'm at Nick Vern. That's an ACKV Yarn. In this week's episode, we're talking with long time friend of the show, fellow Twitch streamer, one of our best educated guests to date, and of course, super great friend of the show, and to me and Marcus personally, it's Dr. Gameology.
I wish we had the horn.
I know, I gotta do that. Maybe I'll just buy a real air horn and just my neighbors will hate me. But anyway,
Oh my gosh.
welcome to the show, Doc. And what have you been up to?
Well, first, my head is spinning with the calculation of who have you had on Working Class Nerds that's better educated than me?
Joey Fetta's up there as well, my friend. He just finished his dissertation. Well,
okay, I finished my dissertation a long time ago.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Maybe perhaps Max. I don't know. I don't think he's got a PhD. So no, I think it's Dr. Gameology. I think you take the cake.
It's okay. I love grinding EXP in all games, including life. So if someone is ahead of me, then I'll just immerse myself in more knowledge before I come back to Working Class Nerds again.
You'll level up and retry the dungeon.
Yes.
No, I think upon further review, I think I think you take the cake here. I don't think anyone else that we've had on has a PhD. So,
right, because Nick, I didn't wake up every morning in 2016 to almost be the very best, like no one ever was, except for those three other guys that do Working Class Nerds. It's the very best. THE.
All right. So
I love that.
So Doc,
that was a Pokemon reference. If you didn't quite catch that,
I didn't catch them all. What have
I love that.
What games have you been playing?
This week I've been playing Overwatch 2 and Elden Ring and Final Fantasy 14 and WWE 2K22 and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Whoa.
And I think that's it. For now, that's it.
That's a lot of games, and I'm super impressed. But
well, I mean, it's not like 10 hours sit down binges of playing each one at all.
Yeah, but at least an hour and a half here, an hour and a half there. I feel like at least me, I can never play a game for an hour. It's always got to be
20 minutes.
It's always got to be a little bit more. You know what I mean? Especially an RPG like that. What are you doing in The Witcher?
Oh, research.
Oh, okay. Well, that's less exciting, I suppose.
What? How is that less exciting? I have to have a fully formed topic for The Witcher for something in the future.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, fair enough. But no, I guess I was looking for like, oh, I'm on XYZ quest in the story, and I would have related because that's what I'm playing on stream. But I'd never played The Witcher prior to this stint on stream, so I'm like still in like the awe of how awesome that game is and how like fleshed out it is. It's I'm in full fanboy mode.
No, it's an incredible game. I've never finished it. And it's one of those games where I've played the opening of the game 5 different times.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I get in this mode and it's like, I'm going to do it this time. And then I come back 9 months later and I don't remember how I got where I am. So then the most logical thing to do is
Restart.
go back to that dream, train Siri. It turns into a nightmare. And then you wake up trying to find Yennefer again.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna do it this time, right?
And then you forget Yennefer and go after Triss.
Oh my god!
No way! Is that a thing?
Yes. That's
Why?
the only way.
See, that's what I'm saying. Why would you go after Triss?
Because she's hot.
I am all about Yennefer. Just from the TV show, I don't understand. Like, why would I abandon Yennefer and go after Triss?
So in the games, I'm going to butcher this slightly, but I'll give you the quick rundown. In the show is a prequel to any of the games. The show shows the beginnings of Yennefer and Geralt's relationship. They continue to have that sort of on again, off again relationship where they're like, super. I think it's insecure attachment type of thing or whatever. I'm butchering that, but you get what I'm trying to say. That happens for a long period of time. Roundabout's the beginning of the first Witcher game. There's some magical event happens and both Yen and Geralt get amnesia. And they don't remember each other or their relationships. At that time, Triss knows both of them and is friends with both of them and swoops in and starts dating Geralt. So
that's not very honest.
No, it's not. So Triss is your main love interest through The Witcher 1 and The Witcher 2. Then at the end of The Witcher 2, well, somewhere between Yennefer gets her memory back prior to Geralt, and she's mad at him, obviously, for dating Triss now. At the end of The Witcher 2, Geralt also gets his memory back, and then at the start of The Witcher 3, you're looking for Yennefer, and now you remember this whole saga. So in The Witcher 3, you can choose to either pursue Triss or Yennefer if you want to. But personally, I think it makes way more sense in my head to choose Yennefer. And Marcus and Atrax both are on Team Triss, but I inherently disagree.
I inherently disagree as well.
I'm
up top. Let's go, Team Yennefer.
I understand what you're saying about The Witcher 3 and having to play it because I feel like, okay, so Nick is a single player RPG guy, right? It takes him a couple times to play the game to get hooked on it. But once he sinks his teeth or his claws into it, he goes all in and he can't play another game because he's immersed in it. For me,
not of that game type, I should say, and I'll get to that in my weekly segment. But yes,
right. For me, it's more of I can't invest that much time into a game because I'm a content creator. Because
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So my game time happens to be when I stream and the occasional, Friday night hanging out with a buddy and playing Destiny, but doing the story.
Right.
But so I understand where Doc says, look I've played the opening area a bunch of times and then you put in 30 hours and then you get sidetracked to play another game. And then when you come back, you're like, I don't remember what I was doing. So I feel like it's a game that you have to be committed to sinking your teeth in order to finish it.
Yeah, it's a lot of time.
I have a few people that failed college classes, 6 years or so ago because of The Witcher 3 and poor time management, bad decision making.
Yeah.
So I know the game is deep. I know that you can lose track of time playing it if you're really that into it. And I know the books are amazing. I love the Netflix show. Everything about The Witcher that I'm aware of, it's set up for me to love it like one of my favorites of all time.
Right.
I just need I just need someone to clear the path and just let me play.
Yeah, I feel like Clear the Path was a reference that I didn't get.
Oh no, that's just I'm cryptic.
Okay.
I just
Okay,
pause in a sage-like manner sometimes.
I thought that I thought you were referencing something. So that did sound, that was a perfect like tone of your sentence to be like Pokemon reference, but I didn't get it. No, I know what you mean. I feel like that's the same with me. I knew it was really good content, but I couldn't get it. You know, we've talked about this a billion times, but I'm super into the lore of things, so I really enjoy a single player action RPG in particular, but something that's really lore rich that I can get immersed in. And so I didn't have a lot of lore background for The Witcher, and I think it honestly took me watching season 1 and season 2 of The Witcher Netflix show to really be like, okay, I understand this now, and now I'm into the lore. And so when I hopped into The Witcher 3 now, without having played 1 or 2, I just sort of looked it up on YouTube. Which, like, if you just look it up on YouTube, that doesn't get, at least it didn't get me into the lore. It just like hits the bullet points of like story, points so that you know what the heck is happening. But it doesn't get you immersed into the lore like watching the Netflix show does, because then you're putting like images to things, and I don't know, that imagery on the show does a lot better job than just sort of watching clips of the old games. But and then when I started The Witcher 3, I actually had the lore background. So now like the game mechanics it's just game mechanics to learn. I'm not trying to figure out what's going on in the world and the game mechanics. So yeah, I dove right in. It was great. I love that game. I don't want to finish it.
Oh.
Well,
The refusal of the return.
Yes. But like, yeah, I'm going to, and there is the like silver lining that there's a very large DLC to play too afterwards. The Blood and Wine expansion is supposedly humongous, but I'm excited for it. So there's a, oh, go ahead, Marcus.
I was going to say is, well, and two, the hardest part for you is coming up in a month or so. You're going to be finishing The Witcher and God of War's coming.
I know. Yeah. And I want to play God of War. Big time.
Right. And that's going to be a hard one because you got to get a PlayStation.
Well, yeah, I think I'll probably do that soon. I have the technology now. But
oh, well, I think you should start looking every day, because they're going to you're going to see them pop up because they'll be available soon and then disappear in another 2 weeks to 3 before when the holiday rush comes. It's just start looking for it.
Yeah.
Because it's going to come, and you can't play that game on the PlayStation 4.
No, it's not allowed. I would love to be able to see. Here's the problem: I'd love to be able to play that at launch on stream or like that as soon as it comes out. But I don't know if I'll be done with The Witcher by then.
Well, I think if hold on,
it's like Kratos November would not wait in line behind any Witcher.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Kratos would not. Doc, have you played the God of War PS4 game? Mm-hmm. It's like early November. Yeah. I really love that game as well.
Oh, no.
What?
It's November 9th.
That's Wednesday. That's when I'm in Florida.
Oh, so then that saves you from having to play it on opening day.
The opening weekend. Yeah. Because I'll be in Florida Monday too, so I'll miss that stream anyways.
Wait, what are you doing in Florida?
So, Nick, what have you been up to?
So, speaking of Florida, I'm preparing to go to the Paintball World Cup. The World Cup of Paintball is in Kissimmee, Florida, which is near Orlando. That's November 9th through 14th. I'll be down there.
I grew up there.
Did you really? In Kissimmee?
I did. Yes, it's Kissimmee.
Okay, Kissimmee. Sorry. That's my Massachusetts pronunciations are a little different. Yeah, it's in Kissimmee, and it's like near the, I forget, some giant sports complex, but it's basically a big grass open field that they then like slap some poles up and netting up, and they put paintball fields there. And it's a lot of teams. Like so I play a national tournament series, the NXL, and then I also play in a local tournament series. But there's other big events each year, and then the World Cup is the last one. There's 5 other events, and the last event there was 30 teams in our skill division, and for a World Cup there's over 60 registered already for reference. So this is an enormous volume of players and people. But I'm super excited for it. I've never played. This is my first season doing national events, and I've never ever played World Cup. It's always been like a dream of mine as a kid that like I was gonna play a national. I want to play World Cup, and then and so like to be able to actually do it is super exciting. No matter how we do it, I'm going for the whole experience. But speaking of that, Storm and Norman, my dad's coming, which is cool because he used to play paintball with me as well. He's making the trip. We're making a little vacation out of it. And I think we're gonna. So the tournament ends on Sunday. I'm staying through Monday. I think I'm gonna fly out Monday evening. I haven't booked it yet, but I think we're gonna try to go to Galaxy's Edge during the day on Monday. Which would be cool.
Book your stay at Disney right now.
I'm not staying at Disney.
No, your reservation for the park, because I'm pretty sure you have to reserve a day.
You do. You have to reserve the day and pick the park.
Yeah, so do that right away, Nick.
Yeah, I will.
Don't wait.
I know.
Because everybody and their brother from World Cup is probably going to do that.
No, I know. I will. Once I book. Well, so here's the background. So I applied for a Big Boy credit card.
Oh boy.
So which I only really had a Newegg.com one that I've talked about before, but that's all paid off. So I've been traveling a lot for paintball, and with the team, you have like this large expense usually for hotels or something, and then everyone pays you back. And then you only end up paying for one room. But it's a kind of a pain to be like, all right, who wants to front $2,000 or something? So I figured if I can do that, A, it's helpful for the team to have that logistic clearance. But B, then I get all the rewards points for myself. What?
That card is on fire in your pocket.
Exactly. Well, so that's what I was getting at. I don't have the card yet. I think it comes in on Monday. But so that's what I'm gonna do. There's like a big sign-on bonus. You got to spend like X amount. So I'm gonna buy the house for the team, and then I'm gonna get like my flights and rental car on there, and it'll hit the it'll hit the bonus.
We need to do a balance check on the show every week
Yes,
after this event.
That's a great call.
Nick, what's the balance? I don't want to talk about
it. I owe $7,300, but I have $16 of
flight credit.
Rewards credit.
Yeah.
But it said if I spent $8,600, I would get 100,000 miles,
which equates to 2 flights. Yeah.
And the flights round trip are $99.
Exactly. Oh my god. But no,
I hope it works out for you.
Hey, everybody listening to this, you can't make this comedy up, okay?
Yeah, it's like kind of a good idea as long as I'm not an complete and utter idiot.
Wait. So does that mean, is that what you were talking about? How you have the technology to buy a PlayStation 5 now?
Yes, exactly.
I was wondering what that meant. Like you have a drone who's going to go like steal a PS5 from Best Buy.
Oh my god!
No, because like I can pay off a PS5, but I don't. I didn't have the 550.
He can pay off a PS5, but not the hotel he's getting.
Yeah. So I'm not. Yeah, so I'm not. We're staying in a house down there, so I won't be. I won't need a room for Disney, but I'll just book it all at the same time. It'll be great. I think I broke Marcus.
Huh?
I think I broke Marcus.
Oh, because I know the story. And everybody note this. 6 months from now, when we say balance check, he's going to say, I need credit card consolidation.
No way. I think it'll be great.
But that guy.
No, but the good thing is like...
I'm fucking crying.
I know.
Wait, is there a cash prize for being the best paintball team in the nation?
Yes. Yeah, there's cash prizes for top 3 in each skill division. So there's different skill divisions. There's pro, semi-pro, division 2, division 3, division 4, division 5, and then beginner or rookie. I forget what they call it. So I'm division 3, so like the middle of the pack. And then the other team in our organization that I play for, CWE Power, they're division 2. But yeah, in each skill bracket, first, second, and third get cash prizes.
Cool.
Which is
So
cool.
you need to win so that your credit card future is saved.
No, you don't win enough. You always lose money, but it's no, it's just for fun. It's awesome to like compete that intensely.
I'm really glad you're doing that, Nick. That's so cool. I talk to people all the time that have a chance to go do things that they're passionate about that are going to be like, hey, in 2022, I did this. And they don't make that choice. And
Right.
that makes me a sad person. So I'm always excited to hear people going after that.
Yeah, I mean, to give you a background, I played paintball competitively in college, and I've done local tournaments prior to that and after that. But like, I hadn't ever played this national circuit before, and this season I was doing both local and national tournament series, which is a lot of money and a lot of time, to say the least. But I figured I have no kids, I have no new girlfriend. I do now, but didn't for most of the season, so I have no like other commitments or things to like that I'd be missing out on. So I'm like, okay, let me take this time to like, do some selfish time and like really go dive into something. Because if I'm not going to play both tournament series next season, and I don't know, look at like with Marcus when he had his family started and he had to stop playing paintball. You lose like that type of availability and between time and funding. So I figured it was a good time to do it, so I went for it. But I appreciate it. In video game news, I was playing The Witcher 3 like we were referring to. I'm kind of mimicking the same points I already went over, but I only have like 4 more Witcher contracts before I hit the DLC stuff. So I'm running low on the side content. I have a lot of like side quests from Skellige that I have to do still, but
Skellige.
Yeah, I'm hoping like to not have. Well, I want to finish all the side quests anyway, at least before I engage in that last quest, like go time. But in other news, I've been actually playing a lot of Overwatch too.
Overwatch.
I had not played Overwatch since I don't even think I was playing when they added any DLC, like the new characters. So I don't remember. Yeah, I think I stopped playing Overwatch before they added any new characters. But I had this past weekend free finally from paintball. So Saturday I was intending to do some chores, but I had Sunday to do it too. I ended up just taking like a full relaxation, like mental health, self-care kind of day. Just like lounged around, lit some candles,
Yeah.
all the things. And then ended up hopping on Overwatch 2 with a bunch of my paintball friends, and we just played that for like 4 or 5 hours or something. And then I played a little bit more on Sunday, and then I actually got a lot of stuff done for myself, like cleaning stuff, my whole cars, spotless, all that fun stuff that like the to-do list that you put off because you're super busy and they're not critical. I like got all that stuff done, which is really fulfilling. And then I played more Overwatch on Monday on my lunch break. When I came home, I played a quick match, and then I played a few hours Tuesday evening with some of my paintball friends and Mr. Joseph Feta, aka Mr. Frozen Cheddar, in the Discord, because he finished writing his dissertation or thesis. I forget which one is which. I think it's dissertation. Is the long book which he wrote, which was on head trauma. So his like reward was like, I want to go play Overwatch 2 after I like hit save on like the 150 whatever pages.
Wait, so he played no video games while writing his dissertation at all?
Oh no, he played a lot, but like he hadn't been playing the past few days.
Okay.
But so like it was like, oh, and he hadn't played Overwatch 2 yet, so it was like, okay, I'm gonna download it. I'm not gonna play it the next couple days until I finish it, and then I'll go hop.
Nobody played it those days anyway because the servers were crashing.
That's true. Yeah, and competitive on earlier that night, Tuesday night, it was like 8-minute queue times, like 7-minute queue times. It was really a lot.
You would think that Blizzard and the other companies would learn because they're with server issues, because they've been dealing with that since 2004, or they just don't care.
I feel like they must just not care.
Is there anything you really can do when a game launches and the entire planet is excited about a game, though?
I don't know. I mean, some games.
Yes.
Well, I feel like some games are massive like that and don't have server issues.
I mean, not even server issues.
You can log into Star Wars: The Old Republic right now and have no queue times.
Because 64 people are playing Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Yeah, a hamster on a wheel could power the server for that.
So I'm not trying to be mean. 100%. I'm only trying to be 72% mean here. But when Endwalker for Final Fantasy 14 launched almost a year ago,
yeah,
those to get in once you click your character to sign in would be a 45 to 75 minute just sit there and watch the number go down thing. It gave you a number of how many people are in the queue in front of you.
yeah. Overwatch also did
And
that.
and that lasted for a month. And now if I want to play right now, just go click my character. It'll say 27 people in queue. And then in 14 seconds, I'll be signing in to wherever my character was last. That's what happens when you have a globally successful and thriving active community. And so this thing with Overwatch, I don't know what it's like to be an Overwatch player because my first match was on Friday.
Oh, really?
Friday? Yes. Yeah, I never played Overwatch 1 and I felt like, oh, they're saying this is Overwatch 2. This is a good time for me to finally play it.
Yeah.
And so I was able to do a match and I liked it. And then I came back and did a few matches each day. So I've maybe played in the last 5 days a total of 3 hours, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Plus or minus, and I really love it. But I think that rush to get in and be a part of the first, people get excited for that and it causes the lines to be insane. I think that's all it is.
I think that's true.
Yeah. I do understand that because like when the Witch Queen came out, I was logged into the servers at noon waiting. Because
what time did you get in?
Well, the game launched at 1. So the expansion launched at 1, but you could sign in and it would just say server not on, but you're in line. And then once 1 o'clock came, I think I got in 25 minutes later.
Oh,
that's not bad at all. There are Disney lines that are like a million times worse.
Well, the reason
3
why,
or 4 hours.
So where I think Bungie did it right is PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X launched first. Then 2 hours later, PS4 and Xbox One launched. To not break the servers.
Yeah, so you get a little bit of a staggered start. That makes sense.
Yeah, I
think,
and I'm sure that the newer systems and PCs run way better than those dinosaurs. Like the PlayStation 4 came out 12 years ago?
Yeah, probably.
Like the original PlayStation 4, not even the Slim. You know what I mean?
November 15th, 2013, like 9 years ago.
That's what I'm saying.
That's way different than 12 years ago. Oh my gosh, you made me feel old for a second, Marcus.
Yeah.
Well, both of you, what are you talking about? I'm the old guy here, but my point here is that it's a shame that these game companies still have to produce a game and make it work on those old systems.
Yeah, because of the non-availability of the new ones, which is wild.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? No, I think to your point about the servers lagging and stuff, I bet you there's sort of a risk reward or like cost benefit analysis, probably the better way to say it, where is it worth, you want to have X amount of server capacity, right? But like it's really only if you're going to accommodate 80% of the initial surge, but then you're only going to be using, 50% of that server capacity for the rest of the shelf life of the game. Then like you just kind of go, it's going to be shitty when we launch it, and then it'll be fine in a week when there's less people trying to get on. And you kind of like, is it worth buying the way bigger server capacity for the 4 days where it's going to be bad? Probably not, when this game's going to be live for years, Yeah. At least, yeah. And I don't know if there's, some flexible server, extra servers you can rent from different studios or something. I don't think that's how it works, but
I'll never forget. So when New World launched, I pre-ordered that like 2.5 years ago completely forgot that I pre-ordered it, and all of a sudden I got an email saying, "Here's your New World game code." Like, oh, I guess I paid $40 today. So I was like, oh, screw it, I'll play it. I'll never forget. I logged in and said estimated wait time 3.5 hours.
Wow, that's rough.
Did you play it that night?
I just shut that off.
If you
Was
logged
that
in,
game good?
Huh?
Was that game good?
It was okay. So if you like an
geez, I just asked the question, didn't I?
Yeah. If you like an open world style game, I thought it was cool because like you chop trees and like you don't have to go do a story. You can just all I wanted to be was a woodsmith or whatever, the woodworker, and make furniture and sell it to people. You know what I mean? So like all I had to do was do mining and like gathering. I didn't actually have to do any of the combat stuff, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
In the game, in the engine, like I would like to see somebody do a MMO with the Lumberyard engine, Amazon's engine, because the game looks beautiful. It's definitely the most beautiful MMO I've ever seen. It's also the newest, yeah. Like the second one, I would say that's comes a close second is Final Fantasy 14, but Final Fantasy 14's engine is still really old. In comparison, I mean, they've updated the engine, but not like this.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. I always find it interesting how MMOs are not like at the tip top of like graphics quality. Probably because you have to render so much stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, which makes sense.
I've never been a WoW player, but YouTube decided to make sure that I get some WoW ads today. And I was just looking at them and thinking, if I did play this, it would be by far the worst looking game that I play.
That's
coming
awesome.
from you, who is not a graphical snob, I do agree with you, but you know, compared to what it used to look like, it's beautiful.
Oh man.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and now I want to look it up. I'm just being
like
Jamie
if you
over here.
type in World of Warcraft 2004 graphics versus 2022, you'll see it actually does look immensely better, but it's cartoon, straight up cartoon.
Right.
You know, and I couldn't, I've talked about it a million times. WoW wasn't for me.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at 2022, and even this looks, I feel like Sea of Thieves looks better. And that's like supposed to be cartoony.
You know what? To be fair, I need to roll back what I said a little bit. I don't know what was going on with that YouTube ad, but these screenshots that I'm looking at after Marcus's recommendation of Googling things, the game looks way better than what I saw as a YouTube ad today. I wonder what that's about.
Strange. Maybe it was like a WoW Classic or something. But I feel like the
Are they
graphics
deliberately making WoW Classic look terrible?
Yeah, this does look not great. I'm going back to 2004 World of Warcraft initial.
Well, back in 2004,
I can't believe I'm the one that started the graphics debate on this show.
And don't
forget, I really don't care.
In 2004, you had an Intel Pentium 2 processor with 128 megabytes of RAM. Like, we're lucky it could run.
Yeah, the person who often, you know, cites Journey as one of their favorite games of all time.
It is.
It's talking about
the
graphics.
Best. It's the best video game I have ever played.
I 100% disagree with that.
Yeah, like I can understand what you're saying, but I think that's a little bananas.
But when you're Dr. Gameology and that is your circle of life,
yeah, I understand.
Complete circle. I can see that point.
Yeah.
Anyway,
meanwhile, back at the ranch, Marcus, what have you been up to?
Taking it easy.
Well, that's good.
So Sunday night, I think it was Sunday or Saturday, I've been trying to get my gear to max pinnacle level, which is 1580. And so I did the duality dungeon with Zero and Caleb, and it was a lot of fun. I don't do a lot of the dungeons per se because I don't feel like I'm a good enough player to do them all the time. And when I suck, it kind of sucks, but I have a lot of fun sucking.
Phrasing.
But but it was a lot of fun. The game is so deep, and it sucks because Nick loves lore so much, and there is so much lore in Destiny. Like, it's insane how much lore there is, but Nick can't handle going into a world and seeing another player, Dirty Muff 83, run by him. He can't handle that. Like, as soon as he sees that, he's done. He's like, all right, this is not.
There's no longer any lore.
Right. These are not the droids I'm looking for.
Exactly.
Do you feel like there's lore in the actual world, Nick? Because I've seen that Dirty Muff license plate here in Florida driving around.
Wait, do you know the backstory of that? Dirty Muff 83?
I don't think I should be on a podcast where we discuss that just for my academic
you definitely
future.
should.
No, this is really easy.
All right. So when the Xbox 360 came out, I sat in front of it to create my
find
Xbox.
that out.
Yeah. So whenever that came out, I stood in line to get my Xbox 360. And when I got home, it said, "Welcome to Xbox Live. Would you like to create your Xbox gamer tag?" And I sat down and I stared at the screen and I said, okay, what's the most funny,
but like offensive, but maybe won't get flagged? Like user.
Well, I didn't even think about flags. I just thought it was hilarious. I said, what's the funniest thing I can type? When did it come out?
November 22nd, 2005.
Okay, so how old was I in 2005? So that's
17 years ago.
Just subtract 17 from fossil.
I was 22.
Oh my God. Okay.
All right. So when I was 22, I was probably wasted. And I was like, what's the good name? So I made the name Dirty Muff 83. So I played with that name for about a year. And one day I signed into Xbox and it had a big black screen that said, "You have been banned for 48 hours. You must change your gamer tag." I'm like, oh, well, what do you mean I was banned? So I submitted a ticket and was like, dude, what's wrong with that? And I was like, my last name is Muff. and they just said, nope, you're banned. So I came back and I was like, I'll show them. So I made the name Dirty Jock. And then 2 days, I made it 2 days and I got banned for a week. And that's when Dirty Muffin Man came around.
Right.
So
that's funny. So yeah, that was Marcus's gamer tag for the longest time, was Dirty Muffin Man.
You know, if you would have used clean instead of dirty, you would have gotten much farther in life, Marcus.
Clean Muff 83. Anyway,
meanwhile,
back at the ranch, the Warlock still sucks, but Tuesday,
go to Marcus B814 on Twitter and vote as to which class is your favorite, and make sure you vote for the Warlock. It's currently winning.
It'll probably be over by the time you edit the episode and get it out there.
That's a good point.
So,
so you need me to tweet that right now?
Yes. Retweet.
Anyway, so work has been absolutely out of control and I've been super stressed out. So Tuesday, I've been working till like 6:30, 7 o'clock every day. And honestly, everybody, I was at the point of like, I can't concentrate on anything. I have to just shut down. So I canceled stream on Tuesday. I didn't do clan night Tuesday night because honestly, I just wanted to sit on the couch and do nothing. I didn't watch TV, played a little bit on my phone, but I'll tell you what, I sat literally on the couch and just sat in complete dark and just sat there and was quiet because I feel as if that was what I needed at that point. I am completely and utterly overwhelmed with life right now. And I really needed that mental
break. Right.
saying. But I'm back, baby. And I told everybody I was announcing it. I'm going to announce it on Saturday night on stream. Saturday, October 29th, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. I am doing my first ever Suboween.
Spooky.
So what is the Suboween, you say? It's a Halloween themed incentive subathon. It is not, I am not streaming for 17 hours again. I will never do a timer subathon again. So what I am going to do is I am going to have it all incentive based. So what I'm going to do is, so if I unlock 25 subs, I'm going to get into the first costume. And it's either going to be Mario again or Robert Incredible, which is my Mr. Incredible outfit. And I'm going to stream the entire time in that. If I make it to 100 subs, I will switch into the other costume. If I make it to 200 subs, I will change into the top secret nobody knows costume, and it is fucking hilarious.
So I know
is it a hot tub stream?
No.
Oh. Okay.
So just so you guys know, I've been looking at costumes with my kids. I put like AirPlay Amazon onto the TV, and we look at costumes for plus size men. And let me tell you the shit that comes up. Like we found a Wario, we found a cheeseburger. What was another one? The Repo Man. Yoshi was a good one. A donut. What was another good one? Because some of these costumes, it's going to be impossible for me to sit in an outfit.
Right.
Like you have your standard issue like Captain America, but I wouldn't like, they had one that had like 6-pack, like built in out of foam, but I'm like, I can't wear that. Do they have a retired Captain America one where it could be like the fat beer drinking guy one with the beer belly? You know what I mean?
Because like Fat Thor or something.
Exactly. But I can't find that. Yeah. So there's been some really good costumes. We're going to be ordering it this week, so it's ready to go. But let me tell you how fucking funny these costumes are. But anyway, so what I'm going to be doing is I am going to, so my sub thing is I'm going to solo a dungeon.
Okay.
In Destiny.
Okay.
And you are going to be able to kill me by your generosity.
Okay.
As an example, if somebody gives 5 subs, I can either waste all of my heavy or my super or walk straight forward for 10 seconds. You know, there's going to be another one where I'm just going to stand there and do nothing. I'm just going to stand there. Yeah.
Stand still for 10 seconds.
Then if I had to make it worth it, but if you donate 50 subs, I will kill myself instantly. So if you really want to see me not win, you can do that. And then if you're a real jerk and I'm at the last boss and I'm about to win and you gift 100 subs, I have to restart the dungeon. Now, I had to make it ridiculous. Now,
yeah, of course.
So I set 3 insane goals. So the total goals is 1,000 subs, which is unattainable. Ever.
Yeah, that's total, not in one shot, obviously. Like over the whole stream.
The whole stream. It will never ever happen. But if it does, I will play a hunter for the entire season 19. Now, if everybody knows that is the worst class in Destiny, like you think I complain about a warlock, the hunter has a triple jump and it is bad. I can't jump with anything but a Titan, it will be the worst 3 months of my life playing a game. A-Track says if this happens, you're going to see me quit Destiny.
Okay, great.
But the
So
other
you'll
thing
have
is
so many subs.
Right.
but the if I get to 750 subs, I will delete my Titan. That's going to hurt too because I love it so much. But then I didn't come up with this. The mod team did 10,000 bits in one boom. I will delete any weapon or armor piece in that I've earned. So if you mofos make me delete my Vex Mythoclass after I took me like 130 tries to get it, I will cry. But anyway, so all of this will be announced, but we're going to be doing there's one, if I reach 250 subs, I'm going to do the Chubby Bunny and give away a piece of Working Class Nerds merch.
Wait,
Live.
the Chubby Bunny. Yeah, with the marshmallows?
Yeah, I'm going to shove as many marshmallows in my face and try to
say Chubby Bunny.
Chubby Bunny.
That's great.
Anyways, then I, as you guys all know, Dead Space is the scariest thing I've ever played. I'm going to play that on stream if we unlock that. I'm going to be giving away a Lightfall, which is the next Destiny expansion. Another one is do a Destiny 1 stream, which will be really fun. Start over from Destiny and do a long stream where I just played Destiny 1, which I've only done the tutorial one time, and I haven't even finished it. So that would be a complete new game for me. But that's coming again Saturday, October 29th.
At 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
In AIE news,
do you like Star Wars: The Old Republic? Do you like Destiny 2? Do you like World of Warcraft? Do you like Guild Wars 2? Do you like Lord of the Rings Online? Do you like Final Fantasy 14? Do you like Pokemon? Just kidding. Hold on. Let me retract. Then AIE is the place for you. All of those games and many more have a whole calendar of mandatory fun nights, aka nights where the guild members and non-guild members alike just get together and have fun in whatever video game you want. When those nights, the fun is mandatory, but attendance is not, and it's awesome. Yeah. See, this is what I always, when I try to ad-lib what Marcus writes, I do terrible.
Dude, it's not that hard. Do you like Star Wars: The Old Republic? Do you like Destiny 2? Do you like World of Warcraft? How about Guild Wars 2? Do you like Lord of the Rings Online? What about Final Fantasy 14? I mean, come on. If you do, then AIE is the place for you. We have
go ahead.
We have a guild calendar at aie-guild.org. You can get all of the fun in one place. And all you have to do is
go to aie-guild.org, get our Discord information in the top right-hand corner of the website, and ask for a guild invite, whether or not you play Star Wars: The Old Republic or Guild Wars 2 or Destiny 2 or World of Warcraft or any of the other games we play, including but not limited to The Witcher 3, Pokemon, and whatever else you play. We would love to have you. And see, that's what I'm saying. I would do way better on that part because I wrote it.
And Nick is already doing the dance.
Exactly. So we'll be right back.
Jeez, Nick, hurry up. We're trying to finish this podcast.
And we're back. So today we're talking all Dr. Gameology all the time. Honestly, there's a lot of cool stuff coming up in the Gameology cinematic media universe, collective universe. It's not really that cinematic because he's into movie stuff, but you know what I'm trying to say. And yeah, it's a lot of awesome. But first things first, Dr. Gameology, you haven't been on the show in a little bit of time, so there is a chance. You're telling me there's a chance that somebody in the nerds community does not know Dr. Gameology. Do you want to give a quick background of whom you are and your lore?
Absolutely. So, if I can just suspend reality for a second, I am easily, quantifiably the very best healer Marcus has ever played SWTOR with, and Lightning Sork that Marcus has ever played SWTOR with.
Hell yeah.
Book it. I don't play that game anymore, so I cannot defend those titles against anyone who wants to take them from me, so you can have them. But for right now, I truly believe what I just said is true. So my name is Dr. Daniel Kaufman, and in 2016, I did a research study that used personality theory to look at how people play Star Wars: The Old Republic. And I was able to create a taxonomy of the 16 personality types that explains the statistical values for personality and motivation preferences of how you play SWTOR differently based on who you are in your real life. And so my research has kept going since then. I just got done with a research study that was presented in Poland this year at the Digital Games Research Association. And that one looked at psychological flow, which is one of my very favorite concepts. And psychological flow is that suspension of time and awareness where we just merge our self, the core of our being merges with the thing that we're focusing on. And so I looked at flow with a different personality theory and motivation for Final Fantasy XIV players. So now that's 2 MMOs with research publication in scientific journals. And we're working on another set of analysis results for that study as well, that's looking deeper into the psychological flow categories. And so I do a lot of psychology research for video games. I love playing video games, and I've played a lot of video games with Marcus, but I left him hanging in SWTOR. Heel move on my part. And then he also was like, this mission sucks. So then he went and played Destiny. And that's the way that I imagine the story going.
I will say, so in any game you play, everybody has their like breaking point, right? Everybody has their spot in a game that you say, okay, I'm done. I need to walk away because this isn't fun anymore. So some people like me, I love good graphics in games. I love it. If I can't play a game on Ultra, I'm not interested, right? Because that is important to me. Certain people feel as if the game should be, you should be able to, if there's 8 classes in a game or 3 classes in a game, you should be able to achieve victory no matter what with any one of those classes that you're playing with the game. If that is not obtainable, then you realize that it's not fun. For me, a game has to have content, because I can play the same thing over and over and over again, but there has to be something new to the horizon. And I'm not talking about every 8 months new. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And you can't lie to the community. And I feel like that's where everybody has their breaking point. But so you guys know, Doc really was the best healer. When we were raiding together, I think Doc and Kat were like amazing.
Yeah.
I loved the small period of time where I was healing with Kat.
Yes. Like we didn't die.
That was awesome.
Like if we lost, it was because the DPS didn't do their job or I didn't hit taunt. Right? It was one or the other. Yeah.
It was mostly the DPS checks, and that's what convinced me to play Lightning Sorcerer. And then I became an important part of the team in that way. And it became impossible for me to switch back to healing because Albus started healing and was doing a really good job.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So these relationships, you don't think like raiding with somebody, the same 8 people every week, you gain these relationships and these friendships together, and it takes you to, the next step. And it is really true. So there's somebody else. So in SWTOR, he's known as Vel. In Final Fantasy, he's known as Baron Von Dank.
Baron Von Dank.
Yeah. And then in real life,
time out. What an amazing username. That's a great username.
yeah, but and then in real life, he has his real name that everybody knows him as. So like, I don't even know how to talk to the guy because every game and every Discord, he's got a different name, and I can't handle it. It's too much. I'm like, you should just be the same person across the thing. Forget about your character names in the game. Just be the same person because I don't know what the hell to call you. But like, I loved playing with him all the time, and he recently started playing Destiny, and I feel like we make time to be able to play together this new game because like I don't play SWOTOR as much anymore and he doesn't either. And like we used to raid together. So now we're on separate paths.
Wait, so if I play Destiny 2, I could play with Marcus B814 and Baron Von Dank?
Yes.
Well,
it's a 3-person game for the most part. And then you get and then if you do a raid, it's 6 people, but everything else is pretty much 3.
Well, I think that's going to happen now.
Let's go. We most Friday nights we play together.
Hell yeah.
Anyways, moving back. So Doc, where has your gaming career and your doc career crashed together and merged to today?
Yeah, so this is a long story the way I tell it, but I'm also a professor that teaches mental health counseling to students who want to be counselors like me in the future.
Yep.
And so in the pandemic era, I stopped having to go to a classroom to do teaching. All my classes became online classes instead of it just being a portion of what I did. So I knew I was phasing out SWOTOR because there were no more new raids coming. Right. And that's what I do. If there were new raids in 2020 after Duxon, I think I would have played longer, actually. And I still talk about Star Wars The Old Republic on my podcast, which I don't even mention in my opening volley of what I do. That's so stupid. Okay. So the Gaming Persona podcast started during the pandemic. My name, my Twitter handle, my website, everything about me shifted to the name Dr. Gameology. And I tell my students I'm Dr. Gameology too. And the reason for that is in online teaching, it is nearly impossible, the way the courses work at my school, to form a relationship with the professor that will continue to be useful for you when you enter the field. Okay. And I really benefited as a counselor from having a mentor-mentee connection with the person that I viewed to be the most influential professors in my programs. I did this in undergrad. I did it in my master's. I did it in my doctorate. I would pass their classes. They'd get to know me, and I'd have the ability to just say, hey, this is what's going on. Can we talk about it? And that really helped me become who I am. And when I graduated with my doctorate, I really envisioned myself being the Qui-Gon Jinn for somebody's Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Dr. Gameology in an online teaching way was how I decided to do that. So now I'm doing public things as a gamer with my doctorate, and I'm publishing research and actually using it. And then I did PAX West Unplugged and East last year. So I hit all of them. I also did Central Florida Comic Con and 2 panels at MegaCon.
Whoa.
So I actually was able to prior to 2021, I had never done a fan convention appearance. And then I got 6 in my first year. And I was just that's why I have the Infinity Gauntlet behind me for real. I bought it because I just felt that 6 stone energy.
Right.
So I just started talking about the psychology of games everywhere I could go instead of just on Twitch. And instead of it started out on Twitch, then the podcast, and then now I'm doing a lot of work for different companies that do mental health trainings, mental health services, mental health workshops. and it's really going well. But at the start of all of that, Marcus and I just really needed to kill Darth Revan. So
Oh my God, did we ever?
yeah, we really needed to do that. And that was my final accomplishment in that game, really. After that, we switched to the next raid that we were going to target, but it wasn't going well. And I think I was feeling a lot of pressure outside of the game to accomplish different things. And I quit raid teams now. That's what I do, right? Like
Well,
I've
don't no. Like
yeah,
you can't say that that's why. It's a lot of time too. If
it
you're
is.
if you are playing if you're playing a game and time restraints happen, then you have to leave a team. It's not quitting, it's
Yeah.
because you don't have the time.
Yeah, it's, when you're doing 3-hour sessions where you're actually playing, and then there's also there's an imperative to study these fights and master your craft. Your craft is the class that you play and the role that you are on the team. And you have to play near perfection to have a chance, because you need all 8 people to be at that near perfection level, and every little bit of slack that enters into someone else's play style, someone has to compensate for.
Right.
And I think also in SWOTOR and also Final Fantasy 14, the classes are not created equally. They have strengths and they have weaknesses. And so team composition, I believe the classes I'm drawn to create huge amounts of liability for the team, but I love playing them because those classes say something about my psychological connection with the game and what I perceive power to be. And, I will learn whatever class I settle on to the best of my ability, to where I can become impressive. Sometimes it works great because certain bosses are a nice matchup, and sometimes they're a terrible matchup. And that's something that, if I were the most patient Zen person on the planet, I think I honestly could do better at realizing that in the moment. But it's really frustrating because I do like to be successful, and I don't like to be the reason for defeat. So, I think a lot about why we play the way we play. You can probably hear it in what I'm saying. And the research that I do is all about explaining that both to people who love playing games, and there's lots of psychologists actually who love playing games too. And the more I do my podcasts and the more I get involved in my field talking about video games, the more people I find that are a lot like me. And it's just so cool to bounce ideas and get new ideas from other people. So that's really what the different projects I'm here that I can talk about are
I
all trying to accomplish.
right. I would say that anytime anytime when you're doing the hardest difficulties in games,
Mm-hmm.
right? What I'm finding even in Destiny, like the hardest difficulty stuff it's artificial. It's just they just add a ton of hit points and everything just hits harder. That's all it is. And it makes it so it's frustrating. It's not like it's enjoyable, sure, if you're into that, but like dying. I mean, when a team has to pull a boss for 3 months or more to try to beat it. I mean, when we first started doing hard mode in SWOTOR, it took us 6 months to beat Draxus, which is the second boss in the game, in the operation, on hard mode, because we were a bunch of story mode players learning how we were the easy mode players learning how to do harder difficulty. And it was really hard because there was 8 people who never did actual hard mode.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
other than a couple times if there was a weekly rotation or something. And I find that in today's world, that is just artificial difficulty. And I used to be the first person to say, this is the way I want to be. And I did it for years. But then I realized it's actually not fun.
Yeah, so one of the fights in the Dread Palace that is a really good example of what I like is Calpheus. Is that the one with the throne in the past and the
Yes.
future tree? Yeah, I really like the difficulty shift in that fight because on story mode, you only time travel twice and you can ignore the past in one of the battles. So nobody has to go and defeat him in the past, or maybe it's the future. It's been a while. But in the harder difficulties, you have to split the team correctly. Both teams, the future team and the past team, must succeed. They must communicate with each other somehow. And there's a third time travel where you have to take the throne, right? The holocron from the throne and move it to the other timeline. And so that difficulty is a mechanics difficulty rather than a mathematical difficulty. So instead of just inflating numbers so you die quicker, the challenge actually changes. And if the challenge changes, I'm going to be heavily driven to want to win that mode.
Right. It's a lot more engaging and interesting to fight a different challenge, and it's almost like you're solving a different puzzle rather than it's the same puzzle with smaller pieces.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, so moving through rating, now going to conventions and speaking, then you just released a book, just got released that has a chapter in it that you wrote. And you got a new job. So how did it become?
Wait, hold on. Let's talk about the new job.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So I'm
New job.
it's part-time right now because I'm still fully involved in my counseling program. But
Right.
I'm very excited about everything in the direction it's going. So what I am is the director of gaming services and program development for Kindbridge Behavioral Health. And they are a nationwide telehealth company that does counseling services for people who may be struggling with gambling and video game play, as well as general mental health needs. So you don't have to have one of those two issues in order to receive treatment there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the goal is to create a message and programming and coordinate treatment opportunities across different companies and organizations involved in the development and play of video games. So a lot of times when people begin looking for treatment for video games, it's a parent or a significant other who is angry and says, I'm in a relationship with this person that plays too many video games and they're not present for me. So automatically the idea is anti-video games. Video games are the source of the problem. And what happens as a counselor when I help that person stop playing video games so much is there's still a problem in the relationship. The communication is bad. There's very little common ground. Areas of interest do not overlap. And there's very few redeeming qualities in the relationship by that point because it's been bad for a while.
Right.
And what we have accomplished at that point is, but they stopped playing as many video games. So, which sometimes is helpful because it can help to create some space and see your life clearly and reconnect with all your life areas that are outside the virtual spaces that we like to inhabit.
Yeah.
But technology is a constant part of all of our lives. We are all in 3 different places right now having an amazing conversation.
Very true. We're using it right now.
Oh,
We are.
100%.
Yeah. And so the idea of, let's restrict the use of our smartphone, let's restrict the use of our computer and our monitors, and let's restrict the use of our consoles, and no more streaming services. And um, it is possible to live your life that way, but it is a dramatic shift and doesn't happen overnight successfully. So
Right.
I'm involved with Kindbridge to create programming that helps people to get past all those mistakes in logic and really focus on what the real issues are and how video games connect with them. I'm a huge believer that video games for me are the reason I finished my PhD as easily as I did, because I had already learned so many lessons about resilience, grit, do or do not, there is no try. And you
I'm
just
getting that
keep
too.
going relentlessly until you succeed. And at the time I'm rating in SWOTOR, so like, how am I gonna beat Draxus and have all those phases of ads memorized?
Yes.
But I can't look up 5 peer-reviewed sources and write 2 pages tonight. No, that's just not how it works.
Right.
Intellectually, SWOTOR is harder than most grades of school. Okay.
Yeah.
and and it doesn't have to be SWOTOR, by the way. It can be almost any game. Turn up the difficulty a little bit. The amount of information and awareness that we have to put together a winning strategy as fast as we have to, seeing all the moving parts on the screen, all of our abilities, our skill trees. It's amazing what we're able to do in
I
a video
agree
game
completely.
cognitively. So I don't look at taking that source of creativity, imagination, and self-esteem away from a person as the 100% slam dunk, grand slam, touchdown that initial treatment phone call from the angry person in their life that they're asking for.
Right.
Um, the goal is, how do we connect to the people in our life that matter to us and balance our gameplay in a way that suggests there are other things in life that matter? And if we can do that, then the messages inside the game that can build us up and make us better start glowing across our whole being in different ways.
Right. Or maybe, I mean, this is from personal experience. Maybe someone's using video games to avoid some other conflict, and that's really the issue. Not necessarily that the gameplay is, a side effect of something else or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I see when I'm treating different kinds of addictions, whether it's something involving video games, gambling. You can put any other kind of substance or a chemical in there, and if I take that thing that someone is involved with, 3 to 9 hours a day, and just take it off the table and say, you're not doing that, then the obvious next question is, what are you doing for 9
Right.
hours that day? Right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
teenage kid goes to high school, comes home, goes straight to their Xbox, and nobody sees them the rest of the day until they wake up for school tomorrow.
Right.
So if we disconnect that console and take their phone away and do all these restrictive things, then we still have one more step that's very important, which is, what are we going to do to help them figure out what their day looks like now? And
Right.
I don't think that very many people take time to refine that step. And so as a counselor, I have a no-win situation there, because it's like, we have an incomplete strategy that didn't work.
Right.
No duh.
Well, I do believe that, video games can relax you and video games can take the stress out. That's why I do what I do. That's why I stream 3 days a week. That's why I podcast, because for me, this is my time to really relax and be
Mhm.
me and like let go of all of the work, the life, the family, all that stuff just for 2 hours or whatever. It's my time to just,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I do something similar, obviously, but
So
it's really, I think that's really interesting that's not, well, it's a little, I'm a little saddened that approach to like folks having problems with video games is not more commonly taken, I guess. To where like, oh, it's not necessarily the games that might be the issue, it's some other underlying problem that the teenager might be having or something, or not underlying problem. I'm not phrasing this, I'm not articulating my point properly, but I
Yeah,
think you
I
get what
hear
I'm
what
trying
you're
to say.
saying. Yeah. So in some of those situations, it's extremely helpful to create some space between the person and their technology and help them
Yeah.
see who it is they're trying to be for a period of time on purpose,
Right.
and reconnect with people, reconnect with responsibility, and also learn how to relax without technology. It's good to
Right.
use technology, but if we take it away for some reason, do you have a backup plan that you're happy to use when you need to?
right.
Right.
And I just am more of a person that wants to have a complete strategy for things and help people to see the middle ground and make a plan that actually has a chance to work long term.
Right.
So one of the things that I think about the traditional video games are bad treatment narrative, which I think I've been exposed to that as a younger counselor. I'm realizing now I'm not a younger counselor anymore. But I still have the chips on my shoulder from being a younger counselor for so long. And it really has seemed like the direction of treatment that says video games are bad, stop them. We need to restrict technology and be very hesitant to utilize it. But while doing the entire medical chart online on a server typed, there's no paper anymore. And we yell at each other professionally through emails. And we schedule way too many Zoom meetings to staff cases. But our whole job is a video game, and video games are bad if you use them for fun, but not for
Right.
commerce. Anyway, that's a different podcast episode. I have all these
Right.
chips on my shoulder though.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of them. Sometimes they're very heavy. And I think that message, when it gets out into the mainstream, and you have like GameSpot and IGN, and you
Yeah.
have Blizzard Activision, you have EA, BioWare, you have Ubisoft,
Yeah.
like
Bethesda.
what are the chances of them wanting to coordinate with me so we can really learn what happens when people play video games, when our message is video games are bad from everyone who has the same license as me? And this is why user experience research, UX research, and games research that's industry driven has such a leg up on research that is independently done, like my studies, or research that is meant to understand problems that video games can cause in people's lives. And it's because why would you spend your resources and give complete spreadsheets of player data to people whose interest is to prove, haha, World of Warcraft ruins people's lives?
Right.
And
Right.
so I think that it's really important for people who do the work that I do start to have a message that makes sense and actually characterize video games for what they are. Playing them poorly can cause you to fail a college class.
Yeah.
Playing them in a high priority way where you could have known better and done differently will cause your fiance not to marry you or ever talk to you again. Those are true things that happen to people.
Right.
But the user responsibility there, I think there is a little bit of a, being overzealous with what a game like World of Warcraft can do, what Final Fantasy 14, Destiny, or Overwatch, League of Legends. These are games. Games are designed to be fun. The mind and the brain and the neurotransmitters are designed to compel you to pursue fun, relaxation, and comfort. And it's important to have multiple sources of those that we're happy with. And I don't think demonizing one and pretending that only our specific way that works for us is the one that we impose on other people either. So I hope one day that, my dream or my 5-year plan or my bucket list for doing a job like this one is to be able to coordinate with some of those game studios directly and be able to change that narrative that there is a huge direction in the mental health field, psychology, counseling, and social work of people that have grown up loving video games, listening to these messages from our parents that Doom turns you into a violent person. Mortal Kombat is going to make you disrespect your 4th grade teacher. And World of Warcraft is going to make it so you don't get into college. And we have doctorates and we're researching now. And we have many of us have broken that narrative. Some people that wanted to break that narrative did not. And video games did get the better of them. But I think that there is a much more compelling message in there where, video games are a force for good. And we just have to have the courage to continue living our life the best way we can with the messages that we learn from the characters in them.
Right. Do or do not, there is no try. It's one of my, that's not from a video game. That's from Yoda, obviously. But
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite.
Lara Croft doesn't save her friend from that freaky island if she's sitting at the campfire updating her Instagram all day.
Very true.
Be like Lara Croft, climb a mountain with the appropriate safety gear and training.
I would love to climb Mount Everest.
I thought you were your tone of voice said, I thought you were going to say, I would love to climb Lara Croft.
No. Oh. It's but I
was bracing myself for impact there too.
Right.
Okay, so it wasn't just me. There was a very sultry tone of voice happening.
So the thing that everybody doesn't know, I've been friends with Doc for a long time, and I've been talking about this journey of his, and it's all happening. And I've watched this from the sidelines of Doc just getting hired at GCU and then becoming a professor, and then, story mode or hard mode, and then listening to him grade papers saying, oh my God, is this real? And then going to the first convention and now getting hired by a behavioral health company to run a department and create programs for kids. And now having a chapter in a book, and now the next thing, and it's like the growth of it is just you're becoming who you're meant to be. And
I want to talk about the chapter really quick because somehow that faded into the background. Last year I wrote it, and so the book came out in July. It's The Psychology of Pokemon, The Power to Catch 'Em All.
Okay.
And Nintendo allowed it to get published. They held up the Kickstarter, and then they're like, hey, we need to look at this. And then, so the book is published with the blessings of Nintendo and the Pokemon Company. And I wrote the final chapter, and my chapter is about Eric Erickson's stages of human development and using the Pokemon games to look at the way the trainer in the games grows and symbolically experiences those stages, and how the anime represents those stages all the way up until, spoilers, Ash's eventual league championship win. And
what? He wins? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't get to that part yet.
Sorry.
I'm just
Not
kidding.
Sorry. And then, so the anime, the video games, and just the entire franchise really helps people to see stages of growth, evolutions across time, and accomplishments, and to be able to just be the very best like no one ever was. The alarm that I used every morning when I was writing my dissertation was the Pokemon theme song.
Wow.
And so it starts out with really powerful guitars. And then, at that time in my life, my phone was actually far away from the bed where I was sleeping. It was on my dresser. So I would have to get up on my feet, walk over, grab the phone, walk it into the kitchen, snap a picture of my coffee maker, and that would turn the music off. So I would always hear every morning the first phrase, I want to be the very best like no one ever was. There was no way for me to turn the alarm off without hearing that first.
Wow. Wait, hold on. What kind of app did you have that where you had to go take a photo somewhere else for the alarm to shut
I
off?
still use it. It's called Alarmy, but at the time its original name was Sleep If You Can.
Okay.
Yeah, it gives you different puzzles or challenges that you program into the alarm, so it's not just pushing a button to snooze it or deactivating it. You actually have to mentally do something. It could be snap a picture and line up everything about this picture. It could be a flip card game or math equations.
This might be game changing because that's my biggest morning hurdle is I just snooze my alarm and wake up at the last possible second. But that would be great.
Yeah. So I used that. I used Pokemon to get where I was. And then, the book chapter situation came up because the Geek Therapeutics company, I did a training using the personality theory and SWOTOR article that I published. And then I did another training on Journey, the game, and the hero's journey by Joseph Campbell. And I melded that with humanistic psychology and people like Carl Rogers and oh my gosh, it's been a long conversation and I'm blanking. Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl.
Yep.
Yes. And so that training went really well. I still get emails from people every so often or who've done that training and said that it impacted them and really changed the way they see their career. And that's really touching. So that's led to my book, and I've been writing every day for 203 days in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, it's no joke.
Yeah, I have a calendar right there where after I have done something to make it better and advance it through the day, I write the next number in the bottom right corner. And I will not let that number end. So we're getting there. The idea is to talk about the hero's journey, which is all about mythology and psychology, but the book was published in the 1940s. So it's drawing from a lot of Native American, Greek, Norse kinds of mythologies, and also some religions. So there's Catholicism and Christianity, there's Buddhism, Taoism, and then there's some psychology, but it's all psychoanalytic, like Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, and that kind of thing. And there have been many theories of psychology that have been developed in the 7 decades since that book was published. So, also, I'm not using religions and mythology. I'm basically saying that video games are the modern storytelling that is equal to mythological lesson learning and storytelling.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Not that's a crappy way to put that, but I think that's definitely true because it's a lot of the same sort of values and things that those myths are trying to instill in folks are now told by the plots of video games, or perhaps popular movies, but it's just definitely more so video games now. I know a lot of folks make the comment I enjoy the story of video games a lot more than I do like a TV show or a movie because it's you're the one going through the story. It's not like some passive role. Now you're in the fable, you're in the mythology. You are Kratos, God of War.
Right. And that's how I feel almost when I call Doc. Him and I talk once a week. and I'll talk, and we'll take like 10 minutes and we'll actually talk about what he's writing about in his book. So I'm almost learning about the book chapter by chapter, day by day, because
That's
every
cool.
time I talk to him, something else has happened in the book, and hearing the progression of it, of what 203 days in a row sounds like. It's crazy.
There's things where, oh my gosh, this is so funny. I'm in chapter 13 right now, and the plan is 19, right? I had this really good idea to talk about Mario cutting the bridge down, causing Bowser to fall, King Koopa to fall.
Yeah.
And then, you know, thank you, Mario, but the princess you're looking for is in a different castle. So I direct quoted that, made sure I had it word for word from the screenshot. And then I read the paragraph I just wrote, and I was like, this feels weird. So then I typed into the Microsoft Word search, thank you, Mario. And in chapter 4, I wrote the exact same paragraph like 6 months ago. So I had to delete it in chapter it was either 12 or 13 because you don't need it anymore. You've already covered it.
You already made that
So,
point. Yeah.
yeah, I already made that point. I mean, it was a different topic. So I thought about, well, I could just fix the sentences, and it is still an important moment for what I'm trying to talk about now. But it was like, it was literally the same paragraph. It wasn't just the same quote. It's like I'm writing things that I forgot I wrote because I'm consistently me and I process the information the same way. But
That's
it's so
awesome.
much fun. I think that we're at the point in the book where we're well over 100 different games used to tell this story of the hero's journey, and a lot of games that I've always wanted to play but never made the time to play. I'm either watching entire playthroughs of them on YouTube, or I'm actually taking the time to add them to my Steam collection and get to the certain points that I'm trying to get to, so that when I write about it, I can write about what it's like to try and accomplish that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think it's just about watching the cutscenes. I think the valuable element is, we all can play one of the Assassin's Creeds all at the same time. And one of us may get across the city completely using the rooftops. Another may do it completely going through the buildings. Another person might casually just stroll up there and go pat the person on the back of their neck and keep walking, with the hand
With the
thing.
blade.
Yeah, with the
Yes.
blade. Right. So
Yes.
we can all accomplish that mission and get to the destination, but we're going to do it in a different way. Our style is going to come out in the way that we choose to pilot Ezio across the city. And I think that that's the beautiful thing about video games and the journey we go on when we become these characters is we inherit their abilities, but it's still our job to apply them to the goal.
Right. That's a really interesting insight, especially, I don't know, I applied that to my own self of like, oh, why would I try to not engage in any of the guards if I was at Ezio when I played that? You know what I mean? It's like, where does
Yeah.
that come from?
I was actually thinking, who's Ezio?
Oh
Oh,
my
that's
gosh.
okay, Marcus. I have not been a very big Assassin's Creed person, other than knowing that it's a big franchise.
Right.
But one of the cool things that writing the book did is it encouraged me finally to use my PlayStation Plus and download the Ezio trilogy on my PS5, so it's there. And I actually started playing Assassin's Creed 2, so
That's
that
my
I can.
favorite.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant game what I've played. I mean, that's the thing is I don't have the resource in my humanity to finish every game that I need to talk about to
Yeah.
adequately capture the mythology of video games.
Right.
But I am taking a serious look every chapter of it's a cycle. So Marcus has actually talked to me while this cycle is happening. Nick, this is new for you, so I'm going to target this at you a little bit.
Okay, I'm listening.
Every chapter, I create an outline. I have about 6 or 7 books that are about the hero's journey, but in different ways. Like, Hero with a Thousand Faces is definitely, that's Joseph Campbell. That's like the main influence. But there's also books from life coaching. I have a hero's journey and Star Wars book right over there. I have screenplay writing by Christopher Vogler and the hero's journey, and that was used. He used this structure to create the Lion King, basically, and some other things that he's actually had his name on. So the first step is, what's the chapter going to be about? What's the stage of the journey? Is it the call to adventure? Is it meeting the mentor? Is it the road of trials? And these are all segments in my podcast, by the way. So I love this terminology.
Called the gaming persona.
The gaming persona, right? And so what's the chapter about? What are the things that the most influential writers on this, it's called the monomyth. It's the idea that every story is the same story with a different composition of parts, but we're getting the hero from the beginning to the end in the same way, right? Luke Skywalker, Harry Potter, Frodo Baggins. They're all three the same story, just different characters fulfill the roles. There's a different source of power for the world. There's a different villain struggle. There's interchangeable pieces. Sauron is not Frodo's dad, but Darth Vader is. Man, I'm spoiling everything.
I'm pretty sure if you haven't watched it and you listen to this show, sorry.
All right.
You've been spoiled already.
So then it's like, now I have to do the video game version of this. So then I start thinking, what video games have done this? And then I usually have a pretty good list of games I can talk about. But then it's, how do I have a 4,000 to 6,000 word conversation about this? So, I know from transcribing the podcast that a 1-hour podcast episode is about 8,000 words. Okay. So I need to create a typed conversation that would last about 40 to 60 minutes to read it out loud.
Right.
And then how many games do I fit in there? What do I really highlight? What characters have really become the exemplar for this? And then I hate it. I hate everything I'm writing until I find the game that opens the whole conversation. And now I don't have enough words to cover it.
Right.
What would you say the easiest game to write about has been?
Oh my gosh. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is straight up the hero's journey. If Leyline Publications, my publisher, had not done the psychology of Zelda already before I met them, I would have just written the monomyth in Zelda, and I would have just picked the top 10 Zelda games of all time and just covered the entire hero's journey. Link this, link that, Zelda this, Zelda that. And it wouldn't have been a very interesting book, but I would have written it.
Sure.
So I think it's really good that I have this personal challenge not to overuse Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf. Right. But sometimes, like the chapter I'm writing right now, I was breaking down the anatomy of a boss fight. And that boss fight where you finally get into the central tower at the end of Ocarina of Time and you finally get to knock back the balls of light at Ganondorf, hookshot to him and cut him up and use the hover boots. You use so many abilities, so many weapon items, and you have to play pretty well. You have to sometimes tennis match that ball of light 15, 16 times in order to knock him down. So you have to play well. It's an epic fight. There's stakes to it. And it really makes you feel like the hero of time to pull that fight off. So I was just like, I hated the paragraph when I first wrote it, talking about that fight. And then for 3 days straight, I hated it. And then I just thought, there is no other fight that's going to use that many abilities and have that much of a buildup of
Yep.
all the dungeons Link has gone through, and
Yeah.
finally getting the identity of Sheik and realizing we have 2/3 of something that is called the Triforce.
Right.
And then it's like, nope, you're still alone. What you gonna do?
Right.
And I think that many challenges in our life, whether it's an academic lifestyle that we have or opening a business, I feel that all the time, where you can have a team, you can be working collaboratively with people, but there's a moment where you thought you were so close, and you are, but you're also not. So what are you going to do? Are you going to do it? Or are you going to just not go into that tower and face the idea that you're not good enough yet?
Right.
And in video games, we face that idea all the time. And I think that that's really the beauty of it. You know, Marcus talked about my growth, whether it's growth writing a book or growth, you know, just figuring out how to PhD into, you know, the career instead of just being a student. And I haven't learned every lesson quickly, but I think I've learned them faster because of playing video games, actually. So
I think so too. That's a really great analogy. As you're talking, I don't think I can think of a different boss fight that's such a culmination of the whole journey that you're getting there. You're using, like you're saying, so many items and so many different mechanics, and it's actually challenging in a way that's pretty unique to the rest of the game. You know, I don't think that tennis mechanic comes up in any other portion of Zelda. You know, or
not
I,
that intensely. Yeah,
yeah,
it's like an optional thing you can do to a few projectiles, and that's why the Ganondorf fight is so wonderful, because
right,
it it asks you how much you were paying attention in all the other things that you've done.
right, right. The closest game that I can think of that's has a similarly like cumulative boss fight, it's just other Zelda games. So those don't count.
That's the thing is,
Yeah.
The Legend of Zelda and Final Fantasy are kind of the cheat code for this whole conversation.
Right.
Oh,
And then God of War definitely is too, because he has the same cast of characters as all of the original OG myths.
That's
Um,
true. Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and he's dipping into Norse mythology now too. So he's like
He's the double dipping.
he's taking care of all of it. So I've used
Right.
Kratos quite a bit, but then there's other games where it's symbolic mythology. So there's The Last of Us has come up early in the book, and then I just used it again today because there's a very particular thing about what Ellie brings to Joel's world in The Last of Us Part 1,
Right.
and I think that that's a wonderful connection. So it's not always gods and superpowers that I'm talking about. There is a potential for games that feel possible. And The Last of Us to me feels possible. It's very cynical and nihilistic at times, but our society, we saw what happens because people can't handle a cough, much less our brains turning into mushroom zombies.
Right.
So I think that it's very relatable, actually, how terrifying a world like The Last of Us is. And, you know, yeah, that's a complete idea. I'm done there.
Right.
My final thought before we move on to working class questions is if you want to listen, if you love Zelda, download or look up, it's called Another Zelda Podcast.
Okay.
Okay, they're on 5 seasons. But when I tell you how awesome this is, okay, I'm gonna go like favorite Forest Dungeons, Link's loves Breath of the Wild. They talk about favorite NPCs. That's just season 1. but like as you go through the seasons, I'll go to 4 real quick. Favorite animals, first impressions, you know what I mean? And there was one, oh shit.
They do a good job of covering the
Well,
Legend of
right,
Zelda,
but like there was like your favorite dwellings, and they talk about all the different Princess Zeldas through the game. There's episodes that go into detail about Zelda, and I'm just furthering the point of what Doc's saying about it. But now in his book, he's going to be touching on all of it, which is awesome.
I have one more selfish question, I guess, before you wrap up. What are you trying to use The Witcher 3 for?
Oh yeah.
Or is it just like getting the experience to be able to potentially use it as an analogy for something?
No, The Witcher 3 has showed up in many different locations in my book.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh,
it's
cool.
a game that I've wanted to play through for a long time and just never made the time to do it. And mostly because kind of what Marcus was saying, I was locked into a place where Final Fantasy 14 was 90% of the game time that I had. Yeah. Especially when I was doing Savage raiding for the 2 different spurts of time that I was involved in that. And it's very hard for me to pursue solo RPGs when I also have the responsibility of gearing up my Black Mage in the team-based RPG.
That makes sense. It feels like you're letting other folks down by, getting progress in a solo game. I understand.
I think that at the time where there's a Witcher update with Dr. Gameology, it probably won't be super surprising. But one thing that is in the pipeline that I'm doing that I think I can talk about is I have a chapter approved for the psychology of Elden Ring. So as soon as I finish my book, I'm going to have to jump straight into writing that chapter like instantaneously. So I kind of have to treat that chapter like it's essentially part of my book, part of the workflow.
And just for the record, in his head, don't let him fool you. That chapter is already written in his head.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I even wrote about Millennia in my current chapter. I love that boss fight so much. I've beaten her 3 times.
I can't wait to get the rough draft of this book.
I know, right?
All right,
even the paperback,
everybody. Well, let's go to working class questions.
Yes,
let's
indeed.
get it done. I'll go first, Nick. All right.
Sure.
Quinn asks, "What's your 3 favorite chip flavors?"
See, this is an interesting question for me because it doesn't say what are your 3 favorite. Oh my god, 3 favorite chips. It's what are your 3 favorite chip flavors. So, like, lots of chips come in lots of different flavors, but there are a few that are consistent across others, and there's a few that are unique. So, like, I'm curious to what you guys are going to say. Or I can go first if you'd like.
It doesn't matter to me. Just make the call, Nick.
Well, my favorite number 1 of all time favorite chip and flavor is a spicy sweet chili Doritos. But I will say, to honor the question a little bit more directly, I think my favorite chip flavor that's across lots of other chips is under that would be barbecue, and then salt and vinegar.
All right,
would be my top 3.
Doc,
how about you guys?
I just like I don't know as much as the flavors or powder that you put on things, but yeah. I like oh man, I like Ruffles. And
the texture is more important to you.
Yeah, for sure. And I like what is it? Fritos? Is that like the corn chip kind of wavy ones?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I have 2. Like those are my 2 go-to. I guess Sun Chips are okay too. If I'm trying to feel healthier, I'll go with the grainy style there.
Oh yeah.
My favorite flavors are, I love a tortilla chip, just straight up tortilla, the salt, everything. It's like the perfect chip. Second option is always salt and vinegar. Salt and vinegar with a ham and cheese sandwich, knock it out of the park.
That's a great call.
Okay. And then my third favorite flavor is straight up, no joke. I love a good salt and pepper chip.
Salt and pepper.
Yes. The like Cape
Like a
Cod or
kettle chip?
kettle chip, but it's salt and pepper. It's amazing.
That's a good call. I'll say honorable mention to sour cream and onion. But our next question comes from fellow working class nerd host Atrax. Which sport? Let me try that again. From Atrax, which sport is the most boring to
Golf.
watch? Golf is up there. See, like if you asked me this like 5 years ago, I would have said soccer, but then I got converted, and I like soccer a lot now.
The other thing I could say is the first 3 quarters of basketball.
That was mine. That was next in my head was basketball, because although yes, there's action. I was trying to think of something else. Golf can be particularly boring because there's a lot of nothing happening.
Yeah.
Then they hit the ball, and then it's just someone lined up to hit the ball, and you don't really see where it goes. But basketball prior to the last 5-ish minutes or so is particularly boring because it's like it ends up being relatively meaningless.
I think I should sit this question out because
your answer is E, all the above.
No, I love sports. And
okay.
One of the cool things that Kindbridge has going for it is we just announced a contract with the NFL Players Association to do some supportive therapy and peer-led services for them.
Oh, hell yeah. That's awesome.
Right. And so the way I'm thinking about this question is I would hate to call out a sport as being boring and then
all of a sudden you work with them.
Yeah. And then there's this audio when it's like, I don't hate golf or tennis or baseball or basketball or football. I am a lesser fan of hockey, but I don't think hockey is boring. So I guess I think I have an issue with the word boring.
Right.
Maybe that's my roots with psychological flow. Like if something's boring, it means you're playing it on too low of a difficulty. You need to increase the challenge so that you have something to use your skill for.
Sure, that's a good point.
That makes sense.
All right.
Yeah. I was going to say honorable mention baseball is also boring, but go ahead, Marcus.
I love baseball. So Master Wabbit asks, favorite card game in real life, TCG or CCG you play? Trading card game or collectible card game?
Favorite card in any way. See,
I have Pokemon cards.
Okay.
But I don't play.
So when I was a kid, I would say I loved Magic the Gathering because that's when it came out and like it was amazing back in the day. But honestly, I really, truly, truly love Go Fish. Like I could, if somebody pulls out a deck of cards, I'm like, yo, go fish. Let's go.
Dude, you know what game? Okay. I'm going to answer the question
it's
directly.
not a drinking game. It's nothing else. Just if you want to just have some fun, it's Go Fish. That's amazing.
You know what regular card game I could play is for hours is pitch. I could sit and play pitch with like 6 people for hours on teams and just you're betting or not betting. You're like wagering. You're going to have the more cards. It's called something. Pitch is not the most common name for that game.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's pitch.
No,
pitch is the game.
It's like wager or something. I forget what it's called.
I don't know. Anyway, I'll move on.
No, I was going to say my actual favorite card from a trading card game is probably Blue Eyes White Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! To bring it all the way back to the pre-show.
I think the guy. So I read something online that the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! Died.
He died trying to
save
someone.
Yeah, save somebody in a pool in water.
Oh wow, that's it. I think that's a plot of one of the first episodes of the anime. Actually, oh no, his cards get thrown over. Nobody dies. That's really sad.
Yeah, trying to be a hero.
Yeah.
DL Smooth asks, "What's your favorite class in Destiny 2?" Titan.
Was it Warlock? Is that?
Yeah, Warlock. Morlock is mine, and apparently it is Dr. Gameology's as well. So last question from longtime listener, first time caller, Nick Vern 51 asks, "What's your favorite carbonated beverage?"
Oh, that's a good one for Doc because Doc loves carbonated beverages.
Right.
I I don't know. I like all the weird flavors of Mountain Dew that have been coming out.
Okay.
What
Could you
is
list a
your
few?
favorite? Like if you go to
You're
a
stranded on a desert island with only one carbonated beverage and video games, obviously, somehow.
what would it be?
Can I not carbonate it and just do Java Monsters?
Oh. No, carbonated.
Yeah.
Oh.
Aren't Java Monsters a little bit carbonated? I feel like it goes when you crack the can, there's a little something to it.
That's just the air
It's like
pressure.
it's like nitrogenated or something.
No, okay. I guess I would go with like a root beer or a cream soda.
All right.
Wow. Okay.
Nick?
I think I would go with actual beer. Although I like yes and no, because I think I would get a lot more usage out of. I like a regular like seltzer a lot too, like just a polar like cranberry lime or something.
I haven't drank a soda in a long time.
Yeah, I don't drink soda.
Right, but
I don't either. Why are we answering this question?
Well,
Because I came up with it on the fly. Okay,
I like this question.
Thanks,
But my
Nick.
favorite carbonated beverage is hands down Dr. Pepper. But if I'm gonna drink, what I do drink is I love straight up lemon seltzer.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so let's wrap everything up. Doc, tell everybody where they can find you and where they can find all of the cool projects you're working on.
You can find the Gaming Persona podcast on almost any app where podcasts are found. You can also listen to it directly at drgameology.com. And I am at Dr. Gameology on all the social apps.
What are you guys talking about in here?
Find out next episode of Working Class Nerds.